Thank you for joining us for the Springfield Business and Economic Review. I'm your host, Sarah Wolin with the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce. Today we're going to be discussing the Small Business Person of the Year Awards, and I have two guests with us today. Can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you're involved with?
My name is Val Yazel, and I serve on the Small Business Person of the Year Awards Committee as the liaison to the Chamber Board.
Well, great.
Joel Gustafson in the same capacity with on the same committee, and I think for 3-4 years, 5 years maybe, I don't know, I've chaired the committee. Kind of all blends together.
Just so much fun, you can't handle it.
It is fun, yeah.
Well, that's great. Now tell me, what are the Small Business Awards? What is it?
The Small Business Person of the Year Awards honors people whose business has grown and they've been able to sustain business in our community.
Well, that sounds great. And it's a program of the Chamber.
Correct.
It's been going on for a number of years, of course, with both of your involvement for a number of years.
It's the 23rd annual this year.
How exciting. There's just small business plays such an important role in our community. I think it's a great opportunity to recognize it. Joel, how did you get involved initially?
Well, I've known Sharon for quite a while. I knew some of the people that were on the committee. It seemed like a fun committee to be a part of. It's a lot of work. It's, a lot of committees, you get on, you do a little bit here or there, but this process starts months beforehand, about 6 months beforehand.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do. Probably the most important thing, of course, is obtaining sponsors, which we do. Then from there, we go into, we have to find judges for the event. We have to have the details of the event. The actual meal has to be planned, the speakers.
The meal tasting is a big responsibility.
That's my absolute favorite part of it. Yes.
You volunteer for that role?
Yes, I do, every year.
And again, I've been on the committee for several years. Honestly, I couldn't tell you how many years, but it is fun, but there's a lot of work involved.
Yeah. Yes. And Val, what draws you to the committee and participating in this program?
Well, I got involved. Actually, I chaired the committee before Joel did, and he grabbed it and took it, and I haven't gotten it back, but that's okay. I got involved just because, as being a business owner myself, I know how hard it is, the time, the energy, the effort that it takes to be a business owner. And I think this is just one of the ways it's so important to honor the business owners in the community.
It really is, for so many different levels of success that they reach.
Right.
So there are a number of categories for this event. It's not one person doesn't receive any special designation over, just one person for the entire event. So tell me a little bit about the various categories that are involved in this program.
Well, shall we tag team this here?
Sure.
You pick one.
You want to take three? I'll take three.
Okay, well, you want to start?
Sure. Well, probably the most obvious ones are you've got your recipient over $1 million in sales, you've got your recipient under $1 million in sales. Okay. Basically, the criteria is fairly similar for each. And what we look at for both of those is we look at for companies that have had staying power, they've been in business for 6 years or longer, they've been innovative, and just importantly, they've somehow given back to the community, they've added to the community. A third one would be the home-based business of the year. Now that's a home-based business that has to be in business for 2 years or longer.
Okay.
And again, it's important to realize that it's more than just looking at the metrics, the numbers of the business and their growth, their market share, and so on. It's the stories that are involved with it as well too. It's actually a quantifiable event. There's a judging system, and they actually put numbers to it and they quantify it. I wouldn't want to do it. It's a tough job to try to do that.
It sounds like it.
But those are 3 categories. There's 6 total.
So over $1 million and under $1 million.
Correct.
And home-based business.
Right, over $1 million in sales, under $1 million in sales, and the home-based business, which obviously has to be operated out of the home.
Okay. Right. And Val, what are some of the others?
And then there is new and emerging, which is really exciting. I love getting to see some of the new businesses. However, you have to be in business for 2 years, but no more than 5 years.
Okay.
So that's the criteria for that particular one. Then there's one called the Small Business Advocate of the Year. And this is anyone who supports businesses, helps businesses in any capacity. Doesn't have to necessarily be their job, but it's in some way helps small businesses to grow in our community. And then finally, the last one is the Business Director of the Year, not-for-profit Business Director of the Year. and this is for an executive director because they run their business just like a regular
everyone else.
Right.
And I think that's one neat thing is that all these different categories, it gives everyone an opportunity to be recognized. You fall into one of those, and you're not, if you're running your business out of your home, you're not competing with someone who has over $1 million sales with a major corporation. So I think that's great.
And it's great to have seen how this has progressed through the years. I mean, when we started this award, it was just one single business person of the year. I think they did that for 4 years. And then
too many great things going on.
Exactly. They started expanding, and we've gotten now to our 6 categories. And sometimes you think there could even be more categories because there's so many great people out there doing wonderful things.
There really are.
Well, even within the categories, it's such an amazing dichotomy between one business to another. I mean, you look at the businesses that are in the over $1 million category, the under $1 million, the other categories. It's amazing the different types of businesses that, they don't compete against each other, but now they are in a certain way. I mean, we always like to say that there's not a winner, that there's the recipient, because they're all winners by the fact that they were nominated for it. But I think that's the most interesting part about it is all the different types of businesses that are involved with this every year. It's pretty amazing.
And you mentioned there is a judging criteria for this. What are some of the things those judges are looking for? Are they different in the different categories?
They are. They are very different in each of the categories because the criteria for each category is totally and completely different. It's a blind judging process.
Okay.
There are 3 judges for each of the categories, so it's not just one person's opinion. So,
and how are those judges selected? Are they from throughout the community then?
Yes.
A variety of folks, and they rotate each year, different folks? Okay.
Right, yes. And we try and keep them knowledgeable with whatever category it is that they're talking or judging. However, you want to watch to make sure
not too knowledgeable.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. So
keep it fair.
Right.
So what are some of the things the judges are looking for in their criteria?
Well, as we said, they're basically what they do. One thing they do, they will look at the numbers. We like for companies, for businesses, to give us information on their financials. It doesn't have to be extremely detailed, but general information to see what kind of growth that they've been able to achieve over the years. Additionally, we like to see what type of markets they compete in. And beyond that, the hardest part to quantify is the subjective part of it.
Right.
How did they get to this point, and what makes them unique for their situation? Yeah, I've always said that the judging is the hardest part because you somehow have to assign a number in some cases where you can assign a number, but there is a scoring process. And one thing we always really try to impress upon people is that the committee has nothing to do with the judging process.
Nothing.
Right. We select an independent panel of judges, and it's really a very impressive group of people. I mean, we've had, we've got in some cases retired politicians. We've got a lot of retired executives. We have a lot of executives as well as not-for-profits, leaders in the community. That are currently still involved with what
variety
they do.
there.
It's a
so, and they
variety.
have so much experience that they can use to draw from in analyzing these.
Right, and that's what's important. We need to have their experience to draw upon.
Right, and we try and look at innovation, and again, that's such a hard thing to put a number or assign some value to it. But innovation and how have they handled problems? How have they attacked things as they've come across them?
All businesses have challenges.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those are sort of some of the things that we do try and look at. But
in some cases, when you think about it, you don't have to have growing sales every year. For example, let's say you've had negative sales growth. Well, what have you done to overcome that situation, and what are you doing to maintain your business, stay in business, and continue to compete and hopefully get back to that level?
Right.
So you could still even have negative sales growth and still be a recipient.
Right.
Again, there's so many factors that go into it.
One of my favorite questions that we ask each one is, and it's not judged. This part is not judged, but it's the one part that I love the most is, what advice would you give to someone who's going into business for the first time? And the answers to those are always, really very insightful and interesting.
Well, they've lived it.
Absolutely.
They have the experience better than any textbook you would read.
That's exactly right.
Well, and we've actually joked about that, but actually you could almost take several, almost all of it over the years, put it into book form.
Hey, we can
and
make
sell
some
it.
money.
fun
Exactly, that's right. Right. Guess you
Hey,
probably
we
have to
can
go to the chamber. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it really is amazing. A lot of the advice they give.
Right.
It's very practical. It makes sense, and a lot of it, you can apply today. You can say,
Right.
wow, that's great advice.
Right.
Right.
That's very nice. And so those are kind of the get to know you questions.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
they can
Yes.
utilize.
But
for them.
again, like I said, it's something we can utilize and pass along.
Right.
It's great.
Great.
Yes.
Now, what is the nomination process that's used for this? I know Joel said that starts way before the event.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how that process goes and how businesses even get involved in being nominated.
Well, the nomination process, the chamber sends out a nomination form. This year, I believe it was sent in March. Sends to the members. Although you do not have to be a member to be nominated, but we do send them out to our chamber members and a nomination form. So the nomination form is received, and they send those back in. Now, once we receive the nominations, then the committee looks over the names and verifies all the information that we've been sent to make sure that it's accurate.
Make sure it's a legitimate business that's
Exactly.
open. And
Well, and that they're placed in the correct category.
Okay.
That's a really big part of it because, someone, I might think someone's sales or someplace, but it's someplace
Really
else.
somewhere
So,
else.
yes, so that's something that we have to verify with
Okay.
with the nominees, and then once we've approved those and gone over everything, then they're sent an application.
Okay, and then the actual nominee fills out the application.
Correct.
then.
Correct.
Correct.
And that has a variety of questions, some scored, some not.
Right.
Basic information and financial and business, and
Right.
then those are forwarded to the judges.
Right.
And
Yes.
then the judges review those. And then when is the recipient actually named?
Recipient's not named until that day.
The day of the event.
The
Day
day of the event. Yes. Yes.
So no squeaks before
No
then.
squeaks before. Yes.
Okay.
And Sharon at the chamber, who handles it, does not even tell us. We
Right.
don't even get to know.
Oh,
So,
and you're
yeah.
on the committee.
I
so
Well-
you don't get to
I know.
I will say, except in one regard, usually one, possibly two of us will get to know, because what we do, we have to write bios
Yes.
for the recipients.
Oh, okay.
So, but we generally keep the rest of the committee in the dark
Yes.
as well too, because you just don't
Well,
want
it keeps
anything
it
leaked out.
exciting.
It does. It does.
It keeps
Yeah.
it exciting. And
Right.
again, you said they're announced at the event.
At
the
the
event
event.
this year is held when?
On Tuesday, July 1st,
Okay.
11:30 at the Crown Plaza.
Here in Springfield.
Yes.
So anyone that's interested in attending or learning about it
Right.
could definitely contact the chamber, and we'd be happy to set them up with that.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
so this has been going on for a number of years.
Right.
Tell me about some of the past recipients. Tell me about some of the past success stories that you've had of people who have received.
That's probably the toughest, because it's you hate to name some and not the others, because they're all there's a lot of great stories. As a matter of fact, a lot of great stories weren't even recipients. They were nominated, but didn't become the actual recipient. I know in my mind the one that sticks out the most was actually last year when O'Shea Builders
Right.
won. I know Mike O'Shea, and it was pretty touching because first of all, they were in a phenomenal business, and the growth of that company has just been astronomical.
Huge.
You see they're involved in about every construction project in the area.
You see
but-
their dumpsters and trailers and
Yes.
trucks. And,
Right, exactly. But I know it was not long before the event, Mike lost his dad.
Right.
And I believe it was shortly after the event then that his mother passed away.
don't
I
know.
believe if that's correct. But it was pretty touching. It was that's one of the most emotional, I guess, recipient speeches I've seen given, and that was given by Mike O'Shea. But it was that's probably the one that sticks out the most in my mind.
And you talk about people not knowing about it. I remember someone from his office called me afterwards and said, "Is there anyone that taped that? We were planning on winning." There were people, there were people we want to see him get
Right.
the award. So they
Right.
don't know when
Right.
they
Oh,
show
no.
up, and
No,
I
Oh,
just
no.
I was like, "Oh, sure, we'd be happy to hook you up with some photographs and those kind of things." But I mean, people really treasure it, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, another one that comes to my mind too is Brandy Ramos won again last year's
Right.
recipient for Buy Big by Brandy. And her story was also very compelling in that she was very down and out, two small children, about on the streets, really struggling, and she found this niche, and she was able to start from the very bottom and
now,
build
and she
herself
won the
up.
home business.
The home-based business.
Okay.
Yes.
And buy big by Brandy was, what does she buy? Will you buy big?
It's large men's clothing.
Okay.
Like large men's clothing. So yes, and so that was really exciting. I have a little affinity for retail, so that that appealed to me.
You had some appreciation for that, let's just say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah. So again, so many stories just like those.
Right.
I just think that it's so nice to take the opportunity to take a day where different business individuals can come and recognize all these small business owners.
And it's a fun event. I think when people come to the event, even though it's serious and we're there to honor the local business community, it's a lot of fun. We try to keep it lighthearted. We try to keep the pace, moving along.
There's a lot to cover.
There's a lot to cover. If you show up for it, plan on it being there for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's not a quick lunch.
It's not a quick lunch because again, we're there to honor several different categories, several different businesses. But I think people will find that, when you look at the events the Chamber holds, this is probably one of the more fun ones, if not the most fun one, outside of the play day that's done, because it's a lighthearted event. Everybody has fun, and it's a luncheon. It's not a dinner atmosphere, so it's still fairly casual.
Yeah, just pop over there during lunch.
Right.
And you always have a theme. Tell me about this year's theme.
This year's theme is Shades of Success.
Okay.
And we struggled each year. Each year it's always, what is the theme going to be? So this year we came up with Shades of Success. And we are going to be highlighting sunglasses.
Okay.
However, with the thought in mind that it's, a very successful person will kind of hide behind their shades, or at least be there and be present behind the shades. So
sunglasses are permitted at
yes,
the luncheon.
Absolutely.
You
will see a lot of sunglasses at this event. Yes.
I think you're right. It really can be taken so many different ways. There's so many different ways people can be successful and different things they do to be successful. So it sounds like it'll be a fun
And again,
theme.
that's a part of this fun thing that we always like to have. We want it to be lighthearted and fun.
An enjoyable experience.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm sure it will be. Again, small business is so important to our community. Anything that you'd like to share about why you think small businesses are important, or why you appreciate them in our community?
Well, I think that obviously they're the backbone of just about every community. Every community has a couple of very large employers, but by far, what is it, statistically across the United States, 80% plus of all businesses have less than, 20 employees.
Yes.
And so, we know Springfield is not a manufacturing base. It's a service-oriented base. So you have to have a lot of small businesses. Springfield actually is a very well-to-do area. It's an area that does well.
Yeah.
It's fairly recession resistant. I think we're getting hit a little bit harder this time than we have in times past. But thank goodness for the small businesses. They support and they drive this community. I think our community is much more dependent on small business than you look at a community such as a Peoria, such as a Bloomington Normal, that have large manufacturing bases. We have to have them, and that's why we want to honor them. We appreciate them. We want more, obviously. We want to get as many as possible into the community.
Yeah.
And I think the community locally does a very good job of supporting the local community. There's a lot of things you can buy online, but I know their businesses here because they're local. I buy from them versus buying online because I want to support the local business. And I think Springfield's like that. Most of the entire city.
You're right. It really does take us supporting them back. I mean, we say we like having small businesses here. Well, put your money where your mouth is. And
and I don't care what anybody says. That entrepreneurial spirit is very special. Absolutely, absolutely. There's an enthusiasm, there's a punch behind that I just think that when you walk into some of the small businesses downtown, or even not just necessarily downtown, but in our community, and you walk in and there's just an energy in there that you don't come across in a large manufacturing area.
It really is, and I know the Chamber appreciates the opportunity to thank them because of all they do. I mean, these are individuals that are working more than a typical
Right.
person working 40 hours a
Right.
week. I mean, they're putting their
And
heart
your
and
small
soul.
business owners help the chamber too. I mean,
They
it's a
right.
two-way street. I mean, they're both supporting, and the chamber supports them, and they can give back and support the chamber too. So,
Well, and for a lot of the small businesses, a lot of these people that are running these small businesses would probably make more money and put in less time if they worked for a larger business, a larger
yes,
company.
yes,
But they truly, as Val was saying, they have a passion for what they do, they love what they do, and you can feel the energy when you go in. And I appreciate that as well too. Somebody that's working very hard, they're putting in 12, 15-hour days, they're working weekends, they're doing what they can to support their business, and yeah, they're probably doing okay or making a nice living, but in a lot of cases, I mean, Val and I know a lot of, and I know you do too,
Yeah.
Sarah, that a lot of these people would be doing
They
better
would.
off financially
Right.
if they were working for somebody else besides themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
I know it, but we're just glad they're all doing so
That's right.
well.
Right.
And we're glad we have the opportunity to recognize them here. Let's go back and touch on a couple more of the past recipients that you recall or remember that have been significant in your mind. Any other ones you'd like to share?
Well, Mark Lounsbury, and what is his?
Hill
Prairie.
Prairie Winery.
Right.
Okay. Well, I always want to say the opposite.
Prairie
so,
Hill,
yeah, I
Hill
do.
Prairie.
Hill
I
Prairie Wine.
understand.
And that was an exciting thing because I just had been out there for the first time, maybe 6-8 months before he received his award. And I was blown away. Now, I've been to wineries out in California, in Napa Valley, in Sonoma, in Italy, and here we have really close
Right
to
outside
us
Springfield.
this absolutely wonderful winery. And so it was wonderful to honor him. And he really started from scratch too, just wanting to, having a passion and wanting to develop that. And to boot, the wine's really good.
In case
So I've
you're
been told.
interested. Yeah,
So I've been
you-
told.
You just drove out there to take a look around.
Right,
but,
yeah.
but no, again, maybe that's something that others weren't familiar with before he
Exactly.
received this designation here, because now it helped raise his profile by being a
Exactly.
recipient of this award.
Absolutely.
So hopefully that'll even help the business more
Right.
as it moves forward.
Right.
Well, I think that's what's great about the program is that not just the recipient, but the nominees as well too. They do get recognition. They get recognition in the newspaper. They get recognition on the radio in a lot of cases. So I mean, it's a very good event for them in terms of gaining recognition. For example, there are a lot of businesses that are nominated every year that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
And by being on the committee, I become familiar with them. I'm like, oh, okay, well, or I might have heard the name but wasn't sure what they did. And some I haven't heard of, period.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing the number of businesses that I learn about every year from
Yes.
this process.
So that's a note to anyone who has been nominated that they should fill out their nomination
Absolutely.
packet
And
because
That's
we go, let me read about that
Yeah.
one
That's
because
right.
we don't know about it. So
and that's how it spreads, and their business can continue to grow
Absolutely.
and gain more recognition. So
right. Yes.
now you've both been participating in the actual day of the event. I know, Joel, you've done it in the past before. Tell me a little bit about what role you fulfilled there.
As the MC of the event, to me, it's the least pressure event, part of the process, because you just get to go up there and have fun. You
Talk. and
talk,
have fun.
you interact with the audience, and the prior year's recipients will introduce this year's recipients. And so you talk a little bit, hand it off to them, and then you keep moving from one to the next. Basically, you just keep the program flowing. But actually, that's the fun part. I should say the more fun part.
Okay.
The whole process is fun, but the behind the scene process.
It's hard work.
There's a lot of work, yeah. And we tell people, if they're going to be on the committee, understand there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of things we
working
do.
committee, for sure.
It really is, and we've got a great group of people on the committee. Great group. We've got people that are, I myself and Jim Langfelder. We're probably more numbers oriented. Val, Sharon Thiessen with the chamber. Polly Danforth.
Hands-on, more hands-on.
More hands-on with the
Our-
arts,
more-
arts side of
Very
it.
creative, and believe me, there's several other people I can name on the committee that are on it currently, that have been on it in the past, that have just been phenomenal. We've been very fortunate to have a very strong committee.
Yes.
That's
very
great.
good balance between creative people as well
All
as
working
the,
together.
Yes.
We
the
all
number
bring our
side.
talents
Yes.
to the
That's
table.
right.
Yes.
Now, if someone is interested in getting involved either this year or in a future year, can more people get involved in your committee?
Oh, absolutely.
They're interested?
Yes.
Any requirements? Do you have to have a small business or
Nope. Nope. Just be willing to work.
Yeah,
Just
right.
be stressed.
Well,
willing
exactly.
to work and have fun? I've
Yes.
heard the emphasis of fun
Right.
on this.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Val, this year it sounds like you're going to take over some of the fun that Joel had last year.
So you can put the pamphlets on the table while I'm standing there pacing.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
little shifting of duties going on here today.
I'll clear my throat like he does.
Yeah.
So are you looking forward to your
I
experience
am.
with that?
I am looking. I am emceeing with Darlene Weaver, and I will be emceeing this year. So we're looking forward to it and just having a good time, and again being able to meet so many new people. That's
And
an important
you
part.
mentioned, Joel, that it's introducing even some of the past recipients to bring
Right. We
up
always
the new
have
ones.
the past recipient in that category present to the recipient in the category, the new winner, or the new recipient.
Yeah,
So,
again,
yes.
it raises the profile of those businesses.
Right.
It continues that connection, and just a great opportunity for
Right.
folks to come.
Right.
Now, for folks to come out for the event, anyone's welcome,
Right.
correct, to come out,
Right.
and again, the date for it.
Is Tuesday, July 1st
Okay.
at 11:30 at the Crown Plaza.
And so it's an open event for anyone who's interested in small business or wants to come and have fun
Right.
or wear their sunglasses.
Right.
Right. We do suggest register early.
Mm-hmm.
There can be a fairly big rush at the end, and it's
No guaranteed seating if you do
exactly.
that.
There's no guaranteed seating. And we've had that issue in the past, which I guess is a good problem to have. But when
Right.
someone's paying their money, they want to be able to sit down, have
Yeah.
lunch, and so on.
Right.
So contact the chamber. Make sure that you register early. There's plenty of time, and there will be plenty of seats if that's done properly.
Right.
Great. And again, one more time, the website, Val, if someone is interested for signing up.
Is www.gscc.org.
So again, for tickets or nomination information or event information, it's all available on the website, gscc.org.
Correct.
Well, Val, Joel, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you,
this
Sarah.
is
We
an
enjoyed it.
exciting event, and you guys have put so much work into this, and we appreciate all you've done to help us recognize small businesses in our
Okay.
community.
Thank you.
Thanks for
So
having us.
thanks for being here with
Absolutely.
us.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us here today on the Springfield Business and Economic Review as we've talked about the Small Business Person of the Year Awards. Again, I'm your host, Sarah Wolin with the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for joining us.